and welcome to the Coffee Chat Queen podcast with your host, JMP. And today, you guys, we have Miss Crystal that we are interviewing with Box in Black. But before we get started, go ahead and pause this video. If you do not have your coffee mug or your cup to chat with us, go get it first so you can sip while we chat. Hey, Crystal, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
I am well. I am well. I am super excited to have you here on the show with us. Go ahead and open up and tell us who Crystal is.
Hi. So my name is Crystal DaCruz, and I am from Providence, Rhode Island. I have two lovely children, Shane and Simone. I am a full-time entrepreneur and the founder of Boxed in Black, which is a full-service upscale gifting company that specializes in curating gifts with brands that are founded by people of color. So most of the brands that we work with are Black owned and culturally diverse brands.
Amazing. That sounds wonderful. Okay, so you're a mom, you're an entrepreneur. How is that like working out for you and balancing?
So it is, I will say that sometimes it feels impossible to balance. But I just have to know that certain days I have to focus on certain things. And on the days where I'm not able to give my all as a mom, I really have to focus on getting support from my family. So, yeah, just using my support system and understanding that I'm a human, I have limitations. Of course, my children are always going to be number one priority, but also just leveraging the people in my community and in my family to support me when I need a little bit of help.
Amazing. Okay, so let's go ahead and learn a little bit more about your company. So how did you get into the industry of the gift boxing?
So I came from a corporate background. Uh, I worked in corporate gifting for over 10 years. And what that looks like, I handled the digital side of it. So I worked prior to, starting Boxed in Black, I had actually worked for a number of companies running their gift card programs. And so I have a long history in, working in retail, e-commerce, running these gift card programs and managing these client relationships. I stayed in that career for a really long time, not knowing what my next step was going to be. So naturally, I got a little bit burnt out. I actually left my corporate job to work on a different business that still is around, but it didn't pan out financially the way that I intended for it to. And so I decided to pivot. And that's when I started noticing that there were companies that were doing gifting, but like this very upscale, tangible gifts. And I was immediately really drawn to the business model. And so I just observed because I wanted to be able to bring something to the market that wasn't already being done. So that's when I observed and noticed that some of these brands were, you know, referencing their, BIPOC owned brands and Black owned brands and kind of like saying, hey, we've met our commitment of, 15% Black owned or BIPOC and I said, hey, like, how can this be done at a bigger scale? So that's when the idea for Boxed in Black really started to come together.
Okay, that's amazing. All right, so I just want to ask you this because you kind of have two sides of your business. You have the side where you are gifting the gifts to your customers, but you also have the side where you are partnering with other businesses.
Right.
So, who are those ideal business partners that you like to partner with, and then who are those ideal clients that you like to serve within your business?
So we work with a variety of different brands, but we really work generally with brands that are established and have a strong set of social values, also have a strong visual identity. Because it is a luxury box, we like to make sure that all of the brands that we work with are on par with our branding and our aesthetic, and also really like carry their values on their sleeves. So that's really important. We do work with some brands, like some candle companies, they don't have a barcode. They just have a really, really strong product, and they're handcrafted and they're artisan made and they're beautiful and they're sculptural. So it doesn't have to necessarily be like a brand that has a UPC on every single one of their packages, but we do like to work with established brands who know who they are and what their values are.
Okay, that's great to know. And then for your clients that you like to serve, who are some of the clients that you like to work with?
So we have a number of different people that we serve. I started the business and I really prioritize the corporate gifting side. So we do work with professionals who, value their employees, obviously, who value their clients, who want to create that lasting impression and want to give their clients, their employees, something that's really nice and tangible. A lot of the clients that we work with, I wouldn't say a lot, but we do have like some DEI professionals. So some of them that are in that space. Real estate agents tend to really love our product because it's a way for them to gift people when they close on their house, or when they close on their house, when they purchase a house. So we do see a lot of that. I have a client who does wealth management. So he actually works with two gifting companies, which is okay. And he basically tells me, like, when I want a nice, more expensive gift, then you're the one that I come to. So we do service a lot of professionals. We are going to be launching our website in June, and that is going to be more tailored toward the consumer that is somebody who likes luxury, somebody who likes high-end things. They want to come and they're struggling to put a gift together for somebody, or they don't have time, or they're stressed about it, and they just want to browse and pick a gift that's already been curated. So we are moving more towards the individual B2C consumer. But it's definitely somebody who likes to, I would say somebody who likes to indulge. We work with a range of different brands, from premium to really high end, because again, we do want to make our gifts accessible to people, but also just we like to keep that emphasis really on the luxury, the high end side, because regardless of who the recipient is, we all deserve a little bit of luxury, or a lot of luxury. We all deserve to have nice things, and that's kind of one of our really our brand values, like our really strong brand values.
I love that. I think gifting with boxes, especially of your kind, it's just it makes the experience even better, and then the customer service even better. It makes you feel like you're important and valued, and that we're grateful that you even decided to come to us for XYZ. So I love the whole idea of that. And honestly, sometimes it's hard to put together gifts. I mean, sometimes it's hard to put together birthday gifts.
I think that also the presentation and the packaging is really important, which is we actually don't have our fully designed boxes yet. Right now, we're just kind of getting demand before we were ready. So we have to like serve clients. And so honestly, right now, our packaging is okay, but I am working with a designer. We've been working on our box since January. And
Wow.
the design process is really, really intense. It's a lot more than I thought it would be. Initially, I thought I was going to be able to design this box. So I'm like, I have great taste. I got this. And then when I realized how technical it is, that's when I found a really talented designer and we partnered. So our packaging is going to be it's so nice. It's going to be so sleek, really, really high end. We are gifting right now. So if you see a sponsored post on Instagram and you see the the packaging looks a little regular. That's because trust me, what we have in store is just going to be amazing. We have inventory right now because we got interest before we were ready to really support the service. So that's where that regular packaging comes from. But once you start purchasing inventory, you have to move that inventory. So I just had to really put that perfectionism aside and say, hey, the great packaging is coming, but we got to move this product right now. So keep an eye open for us because our packaging is just so beautiful. We received a sample, it wasn't made correctly. So it's been a little bit of like, the design process is kind of taking longer than expected, but we really think like that initial first impression and the feel and the look of the gift, that sometimes is even more important than what's actually inside.
Mhm. Oh, I can't wait to see it. It sounds like it's gonna be
Yeah, I
amazing.
can't wait to show. I'm like, should I leak this gift box? Should I just give them a peek? And I'm just like, nah, we'll just wait. We'll wait on it because it's almost here, but I cannot wait.
Okay. All right, so let's get into the greedy questions, I guess we can. What was the biggest mistake you made as an entrepreneur, and then what was the lesson behind it that you learned?
I would say that the biggest mistake that I made as an entrepreneur was, and I mean, I've made a few, it's not just one, but the one that I can think of right now uh, is just first of all, putting a timeline on yourself that I don't want to say is not realistic, but putting a really strict and aggressive timeline on something that you're doing that is big and wonderful and amazing, and expecting it to play out during that time frame that you set. And where I went wrong was the time frame that I set initially for my business really wasn't rooted in, you know, it wasn't rooted in anything except like, hey, I left my job. This needs to happen. And I see other people making their dreams happen quickly. So if I don't do it, then I'm a disappointment, or I'm not working hard enough, or I'm not focused enough. And it's like when you are working on something that is bigger than you, or that you want to be bigger than you really can't rush it. Does that mean sit around procrastinating and not getting things off the ground? No, but just giving yourself that grace when things, take a little bit longer than we expect, and comparing yourself to somebody else's journey is just, it's not fair to you. It's not kind to yourself to do something like that.
Mhm. Wow. Okay. I think before I go to the next question, I think especially social media played a huge part in making us feel pressured, especially now that a lot of people are branching out into becoming entrepreneurs and having their side business or making it their full-time business. And it does put a lot of pressure on you when you see some people who launch their business and then in 6 months they're actually making, more than they was before. And it's like, well, what happened with me? Like I have to get with the times, I have to do this and I have to do that. But like you said, when it's something that's bigger than yourself, it takes time.
It does take time. I think that what happened was we saw a lot of people during COVID, be very successful in a short amount of time. I think that there are people who did that, but also we don't know always how long were they working on their business before that. If you lose your job, right, you know, you're gonna, and you don't have any savings or you don't have any severance, your timing might look a little bit different. The urgency might look a little bit different than somebody who has more of that runway. You know what I mean? And we just don't know. We don't know the real circumstances behind like how people came up. And yes, I do believe there are people who really did blow up during COVID, and they got scrappy and they had to, but you don't know what that person's situation looked like behind the scenes. So I think it's getting better with social media. I know that like a lot of the accounts that I follow, because I'm very discerning about who I do follow online, they are starting to like document their journey and show like the not so glamorous parts. But I do really think that social media is really hard because you're really comparing yourself to, a curated story that somebody, wants to put together. And that's not any fault of theirs. Who wants to post their worst days on social media? A lot of us don't feel comfortable getting that vulnerable. Doesn't mean we're not, we're not portraying ourselves accurately, but just give yourself grace. The only person that you should be comparing yourself against is honestly you. That's just how it is. Social media does make it complicated, but it's not going anywhere either. So it's just like one of those things that you're just going to have to trust that sometimes you got to take a break, or sometimes you just got to not pay attention to what other people are doing and just say, hey, great for them. I don't know if I would want to put myself under that pressure, or, hey, I'm grateful I didn't have those type of circumstances, which basically like forced me into, becoming a success overnight. So I think just having grace for yourself is just really, really key to be an entrepreneur.
Awesome advice. I love it. Okay, so our legacy question. I love this question because the answers be blowing my mind. So what is the legacy you would actually like to leave behind, and for who?
I really want to like leave with my company, and this kind of goes into like why I started the company. Was I noticed that, the luxury industry is one where people of color are not always, necessarily embraced, celebrated, or invited to participate. And I, had a problem with that because I come from an immigrant family, working class family. And when my family landed in the United States from Cape Verde Islands, or my father's side of the family, one, they didn't have a lot. They were, my father had to start working at 16 years old. My mom also, worked from a very young age. And what stuck out to me was a lot of my family members were working in jewelry factories and kind of like producing these high-end goods. But if you looked at the messaging and the advertising of those companies, you wouldn't see like any people of color being pictured. You wouldn't see anybody in the advertising. Obviously, I was really young at the time, so I didn't see the advertising, but I just knew it was one of those things that even though, people of color were operating those machines and creating those goods, we weren't being represented, and we're still not represented. And, people may disagree with me when they say that, but honestly, like, yeah, if you see a celebrity, if you see a person of color a lot of times in a luxury campaign, a lot of times it's somebody who's already amassed a lot of success. It's not the typical person. So this idea of like luxury kind of being something that's reserved for other people, I think is really, really problematic, especially since a lot of the trends that these luxury companies are, capitalizing on are appropriated from our cultures. So why is it that we inspire the trends, we work the machines, but we're not being invited to participate in the luxury industry? I don't think it's fair. And I think that, I'm a consumer. I see all of these amazing brands that are owned and operated by people of color. And I'm just like, why don't people know who the person is behind this brand? And when I first started this company and started educating people about what I was doing, I said, hey, I want to do a luxury marketplace that specifically, highlights brands that are Black owned and culturally diverse. And somebody asked me, is there even enough of those brands? And I was floored. Like, I was floored. So I was like, okay, definitely there's some education that needs to happen here. And I think that I see myself kind of like stepping into this role and carrying this vision through.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. I love every bit of that. Oh my goodness. Okay. So you guys, it is time for the chat 10 challenge. for our Chat 10 challenge with Miss Crystal. And let's see if she's gonna win this challenge. 10 minutes, 10 questions. Are you ready, Crystal?
I'm ready.
The timer is set, and here we go. First question I have, which is going back to our conversation at the beginning, which is maintaining that work-life balance. So what are some of the things that you actually do to maintain your personal life and business?
So the thing that I try to always keep at the back of my mind is my capacity. I am a human. And there are just going to be certain days where I have to prioritize. And sometimes the priority is, something that I need to get done in my personal life, or, a lot of times it's my children, or, just giving myself grace to understand that I'm not going to pile too much on my plate. If it's a priority, I'm going to schedule it rather than just like trying to do something urgently, and just really kind of giving myself space to not try to cram my days full of things, because that's not good for anybody. It's not good for my work. It's not good for me. It's not good for my kids. So really just trying to not pile too much on my plate has been something that I've really been trying to do.
Okay, so what is the biggest challenge you face as an entrepreneur so far?
My biggest challenge has definitely been financial. I was very blessed when I left my corporate job that I did have money that I was able to access. And also, having strong credit was really, really a saving grace for me, because I was able to leverage credit in instances where I needed to borrow money. That being said, be careful doing that, because you sometimes will get over your head. But I think that, having that foundation for, knowing how to leverage my credit, having money to dip into when I needed to, I think that was that really did work and benefited me. I think that was a big part.
Right. Okay, so what are some of the most important lessons you've learned as an entrepreneur?
I will say that I have learned to really, I think being an entrepreneur has really taught me to know myself, and it's really heightened my self-awareness. And so I'm a big ideas person, and I love to come up with new ideas, and I get really excited. And when you do that, it can be really hard to slow down and work on the things that are important. Staying focused has been a really big challenge for me, but it's so important. So I think that just kind of like knowing myself and saying, hey, you get really excited, girl, we're over here today, we're working on this today, like, let's do this. That's been the self-awareness piece has really been the biggest lesson for me. And, not beating myself up, because it's great to have big ideas. It's great to have a million ideas. We need people like that, but we also need the people that are going to be able to reel us in and be like, you know what, we got to work on this today. Like, that's a great idea. It doesn't need to be done today. So that's been the biggest piece for me.
I get like that sometimes. The ideas get to come, and it's like,
Oh,
oh,
I'm like that all the time.
things.
Yeah.
I definitely understand that. Okay, so what are some of the essential skills you need as an entrepreneur, or that you found out you needed when you got into your industry?
So I think that really a skill that you need to develop as an entrepreneur is figuring out how to make money. You're not going to come out the gate with that. It's a skill. It has to be learned. I was very successful at making money in my corporate job, but that was an entirely different skill set. Making decisions is another skill that is so important, because when you're working a 9 to 5 job, or it doesn't have to be 9 to 5, but when you have a job, you take for granted how many decisions have already been made for you. And so if I struggle a lot with like decision fatigue, or analysis paralysis, and it's really hard sometimes having to execute, but also having to be the one making all the decisions. That is really hard. So decision making, I think, is a really important skill. And obviously you have to learn how to make money, know how to make money, but that's a skill that comes with time. But those are two important things that I think are, I'm still, the money part is still, I still struggle with it, but it is something that I know that for me to be a successful entrepreneur, I have to learn how to do it.
Amazing. Okay. Okay, so what is the best advice you've ever received?
So the best advice that I have ever received, I would say that the best advice that I've ever received is not getting stuck when you don't know the how. Um, just know putting one foot in front of the other, you will get there. You will make some missteps, but don't get discouraged and think that your dreams are not attainable because you don't know how you're going to get there. The how is something that you will figure out as you go. Yes, it can be expensive. Yes, it can be stressful. Yes, it can be costly. But if you have an amazing idea and you just figure out, well, I don't know how to make this happen, so it's not the idea for me, I'm just going to, huge mistake, huge mistake. And I actually had an idea for my business, Boxed in Black. It wasn't, it was just a box idea. I knew I wanted to do something. I knew I wanted to do some type of box. I couldn't figure it out. So I neglected it. And look, it came back to me. So just because you don't know how to do something does not mean that you can't do it. Just because you know who your target audience is, but you don't know them personally, don't stop. Figure out how to make it happen and figure out how to get in front of those people. You will, but the only way you're going to figure it out is by figuring out what does not work. So just keep going. Don't let that be the barrier, because that's, most people count themselves out of the game from day one because they don't know how to do something, and that's a mistake.
Wow, y'all, she is dropping some nuggets today. Y'all better take
That's
it
because I've done it all.
in. Okay, so my next question is, how do you define success for yourself?
Success. So when I became, this is going to sound so cliche and so corny to say, but obviously I think a lot of people define success in terms of money. And I absolutely do. But to me, you can be making money and still not be successful.
Mm.
You can still be successful and not making money yet. So kind of confusing those two things, my idea of success is, yes, um, making money is important, but I'm not there. But I already feel successful because I am doing something that feels really fulfilling and inspiring and powerful for me. And yes, it's still in its very beginning stages. As you can see, we don't even have our website up yet, but I just feel like I moved on an idea that, I'm bringing something to fruition, and to me, that's success in itself, is working on something that feels important to you, and it doesn't have to be exciting, it doesn't have to be sexy. It's as long as it feels important to you and you feel fulfilled by what you're doing, and you're also like making money or have a path to where you know that you're going to make money from it. That's success to me.
Amazing. Oh man, I love it. Okay, so share with us one affirmation that you say to yourself and what does it mean to you?
So the affirmation that I say to myself all the time is, I have the power to turn any situation around. You can turn this ship around. You still got time, Don't count yourself out. Your breakthrough could be right around the corner. You still have time to figure things out. You have time to turn your situation around.
Okay. I have three more questions. So, what does your business look like in the next year?
So in the next year, I think that this first year, I see myself getting established for holiday and having a very successful holiday season. I think that the holiday season, Q4, is really going to be the time where I'm starting to kind of see the reward for, monetary reward for everything that I've done through the year. So I'm just taking the rest of this year to learn, stand up my business. We've gotten funding, which is amazing. So really starting to put all those pieces together, have a holiday season that finishes out strong. I think that next year is going to be the year where we can really focus on maintaining those systems and really, capitalizing on all of the events and seasons that we were not able to, make money from this year. Like Mother's Day, I did an event. It wasn't what I thought. Like it was a great event, but I wanted my site initially. I thought I would be up and running by Mother's Day. I thought I would be up and running by Valentine's Day, which sounds crazy now looking back, thinking that I just formed the business in January. But I think that next year will be our first full year of sales. And then the year after that, it's just going to be going up from there and kind of learning about some of the mistakes, learning from some of the mistakes that we made in our first full year of sales.
All right. Well, the timer did just go out on us, but I want to keep going because I'm looking. Okay, so I do want to backtrack real quick because before I ask these last two questions, because listening to you talk is like you have so much ahead of you. I'm so excited to see. Yes, I'm so excited to see where you'll be in the next couple of months for real. Because you are inspiring and you are motivating even me just hearing
Thank you.
story. And you are an example of what did they say? Don't despise small beginnings. Don't overlook your small steps because it's those baby steps that get you to the big field, the big game, right? It's those little small details that you don't think people pay attention to that makes the overall view looks amazing, makes it all come together. And I feel like once you get everything that you're ready for and you push it out there, girl, you're gonna fly. Like
Thank you.
I'm excited to see what this all.
No, and you know what's so funny? Like, you know how normally you like people like, yeah, that's a great idea. You're doing good. And you're kind of like, are they just saying that? Or like, are they just, it's like, no, like I started a business last year that was not, I don't want to say it wasn't successful because it was a blog. It was the first Cape Verdean food blog of its kind. People loved it. But you know what? I didn't love the business model. I didn't like waiting around to get ad revenue. Like I needed to transact. So then I just took what I learned from the blog and I tried to like make my second business like an extension of the blog. And I was like, no, why do I have to do that? Because everybody knows me as the person who knows how to cook. That does not mean that I need, if that's the case, I might as well go work in a restaurant. You know what I mean? So then I was like, you know what? I come from corporate background. I've worked in retail since I was 14 years old. I wanted to be a buyer. I went to school for fashion merchandising, exactly what I'm doing right now. And I counted myself out. Nobody wanted to give me a job. So I'm like, I'm more than qualified to run this business. I'm 40 years old. It's not like even if I was 20, that's not saying you can't start a business, but I was like, no, like, I think this is my time. I think that this is my signal. I think I have all the tools that I need, except money, to do this business. But you know what? I put my head down and I, was so passionate and so organized about what I was saying. And then people wanted to loan me money to get the business off the ground. So I'm waiting for that check to cash. And when that check hits, let me tell you, we're going to get our packaging, we're going to get everything. I'm going to pay back those bills and it's going to be on from here. Like I'm not like and that's why like you start noticing when you think like everybody's going to tell me go back and get a job and they're like, no, just stick whatever you're doing, do it for a little bit longer because sometimes I do think I need to go get a job. But like, what is that going to do? That's going to take time away from like what I need to be doing. So I got a consulting gig. I'm just trying to like pay these bills within the 30 days, just try not to pay anything 30 days late. That's all I'm trying to do.
Listen, this interview just got real, okay? But I love it. This is why. And I feel like someone needs to hear this that may be watching this now or later. Just do it. You hear it all the time, just do it because you don't know what you can do until you start.
Right.
And Crystal talked about making decisions. You have to make decisions to go forth or decisions to not. And she said it herself. She didn't act on the dream. She didn't act on the vision, but it came back to her. And that meant that God had something for her that he need her to do. And whatever it is through her gifting business, it's going to minister to other people. It's going to fill a space that may be void, or it may activate something in someone else. Like, you never know what your vision God gave you will do for others. And perfection is a myth, okay? That is not a real thing.
I'm a recovering perfectionist. Like, I had to post a picture of this box that I got off Amazon because I had to get, oh, I'm embarrassed. I wanted to take the post down and be like, I was like, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm not taking that post down. You just got to go. As somebody who loves to be polished and like having it all together, and like, it's not worth it. People don't need you to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. That is not a requirement in life. I don't know who came up with that story. You don't have to be perfect to get things done. And the perfection, fine, that'll come. But how do you know? You're going to build a perfect product and then find out nobody wants it because it's perfect to you, but it doesn't satisfy a need? No, start selling that inventory right now and see if there's a market for what you're doing, and then perfect when you go. And that killed me to do because I am a recovering perfectionist.
Wow.
Like, but you gotta, life starts when things get messy. I'm gonna tell you that right now. That's in movies. The opening scene is the bill collectors are calling and the person doesn't know what they're gonna do. Their story is just getting started. That is not the end of anyone's story. Like, life starts when you start to get uncomfortable, and that is all. That is all. And you have to live it to really, really, truly feel what I'm saying. So start getting messy, because that's it's gonna get real. Like, that's when wonderful, magical things happen.
Yes. So like we were saying, guys, just get out there and do it. I mean, honestly, life is about growing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're jumping out of the gate with a perfect product or a perfect package or a perfect service, where do you have room to grow? People like to see your growth. When you look back on where you started and the things that you did, if you didn't have those hiccups, those mistakes, you wouldn't have the room to scale up.
It wouldn't be real. It wouldn't be real. Like, it would not be real. I could go and I could copy somebody else's website and do exactly what they're doing. But you know what? How far am I going to get? How fun is that going to be for me? How long is my business really going to start if I don't make my own mistakes? I've already made mistakes. I don't want to admit them, but I've already made mistakes in this business. And I'm like, wow, I'm looking like, you know, I feel like I'm kind of trying to do what people are doing. Let's fix that, because what's going to make me successful is not what everybody else is doing. It's about what I'm doing. Like, I was going to like relax the luxury element and just put nice things, but I'm like, why would I do that? Like, that's what the luxury element is, what is really going to really set me apart. So you have to learn. Give yourself space to learn.
All right, guys, we're going to get to the last two questions I have, and then we're going to wrap it up. Okay, Crystal. If you could trade places with anyone, who would you trade with?
Ooh, that's hard. Oh boy, I would trade places with my future self in a heartbeat right now. Like, I can't wait. I can't wait to get to where I'm going, honestly, because where I'm at is hard. It's difficult. And when I was talking about my finances, I forgot that I was being recorded for a second. And I'm actually glad that I did, because I don't think I would have shared as much as I did. But I would definitely I can't say that I would trade places with anybody that's not me. I can't. Like, I would love to trade places with my future self, but I'm right where I'm supposed to be, I guess. And, that future version of me would not exist if it wasn't for the version of me that's going through what I'm going through right now. And I know I talk a lot about, money and things like that, and, where I am being hard, but also, like, this is the best time of my life. I wake up and I work on the things that I want to work on, and nobody can take that from me.
All right, so the last question I have is, who is your right-hand person?
My right-hand person is, adult, because it's my kids, but I would say that my right-hand person is my cousin. Um, my cousin Shanika, she is somebody that she just listens. She listens, she believes in me. You know, everything that I've done, she has encouraged me every step of the way. She just been, and she just had a baby. She's just been, how could somebody have, been there for me emotionally to her, the capacity that she was, and she just carries everything in her own life. Like, that is the one person that keeps me going all the time. My mother is another one. Like, I could tell my mom, I'm going to sell pickles on the corner, and my mom would be like, yes, you got it. You're going to be amazing. And it's like, I mean, sometimes we need people to tell us when we're being a little, but we don't need anybody to cut our ambitions. And I'm just so glad that nobody in my family has, had that conversation, be like, we're concerned. You need to go back to work. Like, I've just, the amount of support from my cousin and my mom, my family in general, but just like those two people has been, those are my right hands. If I need somebody to, if I have to go to a networking event, last week I had 3 networking events back to back. My mother was there for all of them. Like, she watched my kids for all of them. So having a strong support system is definitely like critical.
Wow. All right, guys. That is a wrap. That is a wrap. Crystal, thank you so much for coming on to the show. This
Anytime.
was truly phenomenal. I love every bit of it. Go ahead and share with everyone. How can they find you? Share with those who want to partner with you. How can they partner with you for the box gift, for the gifting box, and how can they purchase from you?
So you can follow me on Instagram, box.inblack. So it's box.inblack on Instagram. We are also Boxed in Black on Facebook, still, growing that, growing those audiences. My food blog, you can follow me on there. That's where I'm most active. I'm trying to transition that account to more like entrepreneurial and inspirational, motivational stuff. And that's Crumb Snatched. So CRUMBSNATCHED. I'll keep that my name for a little while longer, but that's where I'm most active. And then Boxed in Black is my website. You can go there now. I'm not sure when this is going to air, so maybe I'll be up and running by the time this airs. But go to Boxed in Black. That's like my home base. Sign up for emails. Send me an email, crystal@boxedinblack.com. Yeah, I'm all Boxed in Black. So just, boxedinblack.com, box.inblack at Instagram. And those are probably the places that you can find me the most.
Amazing. All right, guys. Thank you so much for rocking with
Thank
me
you.
today and with Miss Crystal. Today you got to see the real behind starting a business, the real behind what does it feel like as you are elevating, as you are being processed throughout your business journey. So you guys, I really hope that this was helpful for you. Put it in the comments if it was. And again, Crystal, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
I was
guys,
really,
I will
thank
see
you.
you next time.
Bye. Take care. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, you guys, it is JMP here, and I just wanted to personally say thank you for tuning in on today's show. You guys, we really appreciate the support and the love. Also, I wanted to remind you, if you haven't liked and subscribed to our KB Lounge YouTube channel, make sure that you go do that and ring that bell to get notified when it's time for a new podcast show to drop. Also, I wanted to let you guys know and remind you that on Thursdays, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we drop a new episode of an entrepreneur sharing their journey and sharing what they do in their business. If you are an entrepreneur and you want to be on the Coffee Chat podcast, go to our website. It is www.myvast.com. Click the KB Lounge tab, and then up under that you will also see the Coffee Chat Queen podcast. Go there and schedule your interview to be on the show. If you are an entrepreneur and you're saying, I'm not too crazy about being on camera, that is okay. We also do Coffee Chat shout outs. So if you're interested in having a Coffee Chat shout out on the podcast show, Also go to our website. All of that information. We'll also have your information in the description box for everyone to go find you and to check out your services and the products that you offer and your business. They're able to also follow you on your social media platforms. So if you want to continue to see the podcast grow or the KB Lounge continue to grow, we are accepting donations. And if you are loving what we're doing here on the podcast and you're loving what we're doing in the KB Lounge, you can go to our website and go to the Coffee Chat Queen podcast page, and all of our information to donate and support our YouTube channel, support our podcast. Again, you guys, JMP checking out here, and I just want to just say thank you. Thank you for the love, thank you for support, and thank you for subscribing to us. See you guys next time.